we are still a species with amnesia. Right here on this very planet, no matter how many studies are published, and no matter how many methods modern scientists use, we have yet to fully and seamlessly reconstruct the history of human development, from the very beginning up to the present day. Somewhere along the timeline that stretches back hundreds of thousands of years, there are still vast gaps that no one can fill, empty spaces about those first civilizations that once appeared and vanished, leaving behind no clear trace. It is ironic that in the modern, the pyramids of Giza and the Great Sphinx have long stood as powerful symbols of ancient Egyptian civilization. At the same time, they've sparked endless debate, century after century, surrounding the mysteries of time, construction, and purpose. According to mainstream archaeology, the Great Pyramid was completed around 2550 BC. Yet, as more compelling evidence comes to light, these timelines and traditional theories have come under increasing scrutiny. Some scholars suggest that these two monumental structures, the pyramid and the Sphinx, may be far older than history books have recorded. The Bible, Sumerian legends, and many other ancient texts speak of a massive flood that once swept across the earth. When aligning these timelines, it becomes possible that the pyramids and the Sphinx were already standing on the banks of the Nile long before that global catastrophe occurred. What has truly forced experts to reconsider the established history of ancient Egypt are the unusual signs of erosion on the body of the Sphinx. These are not the typical marks left by desert winds or blowing sand. Geological studies indicate that the erosion was caused by prolonged and intense rainfall, weather patterns that haven't existed in Egypt for thousands of years. This has led some scientists to put forward a bold new theory. Could the Sphinx and the pyramids date back to a time when Egypt was not a desert, but a lush, green landscape, with rivers, lakes, and long, soaking rainstorms? But the mysteries of the Giza Plateau don't end with geology or weather. They extend into the realm of legend, especially the legend of Atlantis. Some researchers believe the ancient Egyptians may have been descendants of Atlantean survivors, bringing with them powerful knowledge in architecture, astronomy, and mathematics. Knowledge that modern civilization still struggles to fully comprehend. Because of all this, the pyramids and the Sphinx are more than just breathtaking monuments. They are messages from the deep past, enigmatic legacies that challenge everything we think we know about human history. With every new discovery, and every unanswered question, the allure of these monuments only grows stronger, calling future generations to keep searching for the truth buried beneath Egypt's golden sands. The Anunnaki and the evolution of humankind. According to the ancient records of the Sumerians, the story of the Anunnaki on Earth began with a singular mission, to mine gold, a vital resource needed to save their own planet. Over thousands of years, the Anunnaki expanded their presence, establishing settlements across the most fertile lands. New cities and mining sites emerged, all built to serve this relentless quest for gold. But over time, deep divisions began to form among the Anunnaki themselves. Those assigned to labor in the mines grew weary and resentful. The brutal conditions, the endless work, the growing sense of injustice, all fueled a rising tension between the elite and the workers. This internal conflict would eventually lead to a pivotal moment in the Anunnaki's earthly mission, one that may have had a profound impact on the origins of human civilization as we know it. The elongated skulls of Paracas, Peru. In Paracas, Peru, archaeologists uncovered one of the most unusual and controversial mysteries in human history. In 1928, archaeologist Julio Teo discovered an ancient burial site containing hundreds of bodies, each interred with unique and mysterious rituals. What shocked researchers most were the skulls found at the site, abnormally elongated, unlike anything seen before. These skulls weren't just different in shape, they were up to 25% larger and 60% heavier than normal human skulls. When placed side by side with a modern skull, the contrast was startling. This raised a question that continues to baffle scientists today: were these the remains of ancient humans, or evidence of an entirely different species? In an effort to understand their origins, samples of hair, teeth, and bone fragments were sent to independent labs for DNA testing. The results were astonishing. The mitochondrial DNA revealed mutations previously unseen in any known human, primate, or animal species. Some geneticists involved in the analysis admitted that these beings would likely have been biologically incompatible with modern humans. This has led to a wave of speculation, some suggesting these skulls represent a lost human branch, while others have even proposed an extraterrestrial origin. However, the mystery is far from settled. Skeptics argue that the elongated skulls are the result of cranial deformation, a known practice in various ancient cultures, where the heads of young children were intentionally shaped using cloth wrappings or wooden boards. This technique was used in Asia, Africa, and South America. Yet many aspects of the Paracas skulls don't align with this theory. Beyond their shape, these skulls exhibit unusual features: thicker bone density, greater cranial volume, and bone structures that do not match those of any known human population. Even the cranial sutures, the joints between the bones of the skull, are markedly different. To this day, there is no universally accepted explanation for the origins of the Paracas skulls. And so, they remain one of archaeology's most compelling mysteries, drawing the interest of both the scientific community and those who explore the boundaries between history, myth, and ancient alien theory. Göbekli Tepe, the monument that shouldn't exist. Lying quietly atop a dusty hill in southeastern Turkey, Göbekli Tepe is considered one of the most astonishing archaeological discoveries of the century. Dating back as far as 12,000 years, this site predates the Egyptian pyramids by several millennia, making it the oldest known monumental structure ever discovered. But Göbekli Tepe is far more than a pile of ancient stones. It is a sprawling complex of enormous T-shaped pillars, some towering over 5 meters high and weighing up to 50 tons. These pillars are arranged in intricate circular formations and carved with mysterious symbols and animals, symbols whose meanings are still unknown. What makes Göbekli Tepe so extraordinary is the mystery of how it was built. According to conventional history, this period marks the end of the hunter-gatherer era, long before the invention of metal tools, writing, or even the wheel. And yet, here we find a site that required advanced planning, engineering, and social organization, qualities we didn't believe prehistoric people possessed. Somehow, they moved and erected megalithic stones with precision, designing structures so durable they've stood the test of time for over 10,000 years. Many scholars believe Göbekli Tepe was a religious center, possibly the world's first temple. Others suspect it functioned as an astronomical observatory, or that it reflects a level of lost knowledge far beyond what traditional archaeology allows. Whatever the truth may be, one thing is certain: the discovery of Göbekli Tepe has shattered long-held assumptions about the origins of civilization. Every excavation at the site reveals new wonders and new questions. As the sun sets over the ancient stones, Göbekli Tepe reminds us that the story of humanity may be far older, and far more complex, than we've ever imagined. Çatalhöyük, the hybrid culture of humanity. Located on the fertile plains of central Turkey, Çatalhöyük is one of the most significant and mysterious archaeological sites ever uncovered. Dating back more than 9,500 years, this ancient city challenges conventional timelines about the development of civilization. Excavated since 1958, the site has revealed 18 layers of settlement, each one built upon the ruins of the last, tracing a long and dynamic history of growth, transformation, and social upheaval. What makes Çatalhöyük truly unique is its sophisticated urban design. Homes were built in tight clusters with no streets, residents entered through the roofs. Despite its age, the city displays a level of organization rarely seen in prehistoric societies. At its center lies a ceremonial complex featuring temples, altars, benches for rituals, and vivid wall paintings. Sacred symbols and bull skulls suggest deep spiritual beliefs, particularly centered around the worship of a mother goddess, hinting at an early form of matriarchal spirituality. When the city was eventually abandoned, the people buried the temple beneath layers of earth in what appears to have been a ritual of preservation, as if they intended its secrets to endure. The culture of Çatalhöyük represents a hybrid stage of humanity, neither fully nomadic nor entirely urbanized, but something in between. It challenges the linear narrative of human progress and invites us to rethink how civilization truly began. Catalhoyuk, a society of secrets and power. Evidence suggests that women played a central role in both the spiritual and social life of Catalhoyuk, perhaps even holding the highest positions of power. And yet, to this day, researchers have not been able to determine the true origins of this ancient culture. Nor have they uncovered whether Catalhoyuk had any connection to even more mysterious civilizations, such as Göbekli Tepe. These lingering questions have made Catalhoyuk a focal point for bold new theories, suggesting the existence of a hybrid society, where early humanity may have mingled with ancient, possibly forgotten, bloodlines. If true, this opens up countless new questions about the roots of our collective past, and the path that led us to where we are today. The Göbekli Circle, Europe's ancient timekeeper. Set quietly in the fields of Germany, the Göbekli Circle stands as one of Europe's most remarkable archaeological sites. Not only for its great age, but for what it reveals about the evolution of human civilization. Archaeologists have dated the structure to the 49th century BC, over 6,900 years ago, marking it as one of the oldest known sacred sites in Europe. It represents clear evidence of an early Neolithic culture, one that was beginning to understand and track the rhythms of the cosmos. From above, Göbekli Circle appears as a giant circular labyrinth, roughly 75 meters across. It's formed by concentric ditches and surrounded by two large wooden palisades. But what truly sets it apart are its three carefully aligned entrances, each one pointing directly to the sunrise and sunset positions of the winter solstice. This incredible precision proves that our ancestors were already observing the skies, tracking celestial movements, calculating time, and possibly even aligning their lives with the cosmos. But Göbekli Circle wasn't just a solar observatory. Excavations have uncovered chilling evidence of ritual practices, decapitated human skulls, cattle bones, and the remains of massive ceremonial fires. These clues suggest that the site was also used for powerful and possibly dark spiritual ceremonies, blending astronomy with early religious worship. What these people believed, or feared, remains a mystery. But one thing is certain: Göbekli Circle reflects a deep prehistoric belief in the hidden forces of the universe, long before written history began. Today, Göbekli Circle is recognized as one of the oldest solar observatories in the world, a symbol of the human drive to understand the heavens, and a haunting reminder of how closely ancient science and sacred ritual were once intertwined. Adam's calendar, the timekeeper of forgotten ages. Hidden among the wild hills of South Africa lies a mystery that challenges everything we think we know about the origins of human civilization: Adam's calendar. Often referred to by researchers as the oldest calendar in the world, this ancient site is believed to be up to 75,000 years old. From the moment of its discovery, Adam's calendar captivated archaeologists with its unusual shape, massive scale, and uncanny precision. The site itself is a vast circle of enormous standing stones, each weighing several tons. These stones were not placed randomly, they were carefully arranged with mathematical precision, and they have stood unshaken by time for tens of thousands of years. When scientists began to study the layout more closely, they were stunned. The alignment of the stones, the distances between them, and their orientations toward celestial points all suggested a deep understanding of astronomy, geometry, and timekeeping. Knowledge that far exceeded what is typically attributed to prehistoric societies. Some theories propose that Adam's calendar functioned as an ancient observatory. It may have been used to track the sun, the moon, the solstices, and perhaps even star constellations, serving as a sacred place where early people observed the heavens and marked the passage of time. But Adam's calendar is more than just an astronomical tool. It hints at the existence of a lost, sophisticated civilization, one with advanced technical knowledge and spiritual awareness, operating long before the rise of the Egyptian pyramids, Mesopotamian cities, or Indus Valley culture. At a time when most civilizations were just beginning to take form, this 75,000-year-old monument raises haunting questions: who built it? For what purpose? And what forgotten knowledge might still be buried beneath the soil? Adam's calendar remains a silent witness to a forgotten chapter in human history. One that could rewrite everything we thought we knew about our ancient past. Medieval bones and Nazi propaganda, a warning from the past. Beneath the ancient stone walls of Prague Castle, in the heart of Europe, archaeologists made a discovery in 1928 that would shake the historical world, the skeleton of a medieval warrior, buried with ceremonial care beside a sword and two finely crafted daggers. Dated to the 10th century, this mysterious figure, likely a noble or elite warrior, captured the imagination of a young nation. Czechoslovakia had only recently reclaimed its independence, and the find became a powerful symbol of pride and cultural identity. But just over a decade later, the winds of war swept through Europe. Nazi Germany invaded Czechoslovakia, and that silent skeleton, once a symbol of heritage, was transformed into a tool of fascist propaganda. Under the control of Hitler's regime, the Nazi propaganda machine rebranded the discovery as evidence of so-called Aryan superiority. They claimed the warrior's remains were proof of ancient Germanic dominance in Central Europe, an absurd distortion of history, used to justify military conquest and racial ideology. Real scholars, once committed to uncovering the truth, were now forced to serve a dangerous political narrative. Those who resisted the false interpretation faced censorship, persecution, or imprisonment. Independent research was suppressed, and the cultural history of the Slavic people was buried under a fabricated myth. The story of the Prague Castle skeleton is more than a footnote in archaeology. It is a chilling reminder of how history can be manipulated, twisted by those who seek power, and weaponized against entire populations. It shows us how science and truth can be corrupted, not just through war, but through the quiet rewriting of the past. What lies buried beneath our feet may be ancient, but in the wrong hands, even bones can be turned into tools of oppression. This is not just a tale from the past. It's a warning for the future, that we must protect historical truth, even when it's inconvenient, and ensure that the voices of the dead are not silenced by the ambitions of the living. Earth before the moon, a forgotten chapter of our cosmic history. Among the greatest mysteries of the universe, perhaps none is more strange, or more haunting, than the idea that there was once a time when Earth existed without the moon. This idea is not just a modern curiosity. It appears across ancient cultures, whispered in folk traditions and preserved in texts from both the East and the West, leaving an enduring impression on human imagination throughout the ages. Thousands of years ago, Greek philosophers spoke of a time when the night sky was completely dark, absent of the familiar glow of our lunar companion. Thinkers like Democritus and Anaxagoras described a world before the moon existed. They even suggested that a race of people once walked the earth long before our satellite ever appeared in the sky. Aristotle wrote of the Arcadians, an ancient people who supposedly lived in the mountainous forests beyond Greece, surviving on acorns, before the moonlight ever touched the earth. Other ancient writers, Plutarch, Lucian, and others, recorded similar legends. These stories weren't confined to Greece alone. Even the Bible contains verses that hint at a time before the moon. In the book of Job and certain Psalms, there are poetic references that suggest a world untouched by moonlight, a time when only the stars lit the sky. Far across the world, the native Colombians of the Andean highlands also tell a legend of a moonless sky, a time before the celestial body we now see was placed in the heavens. What are we to make of this? These eerily similar stories, passed down through cultures that never met, have sparked centuries of speculation and debate. Could they all be pointing to a forgotten truth? According to modern science, the moon formed about 4.5 billion years ago, likely after a catastrophic collision between the early Earth and a Mars-sized object. The debris from that impact slowly came together to form what is now our moon, which then settled into orbit and began shaping the tides, stabilizing Earth's tilt, and influencing the development of life itself. Other theories propose that the moon didn't originate with Earth at all, that it may have once orbited another planet, such as Venus, before being captured by Earth's gravity. And yet, the persistent legends of a time before the moon raise a tantalizing possibility. Are these ancient tales dim echoes of a real, prehistoric event? A memory somehow passed down across generations and civilizations? Or are they symbolic myths, early humanity's poetic attempt to explain the mysteries of the night sky and the birth of the world? If there truly was a time when the moon did not shine above us, what did it mean for life on Earth? How did it affect our environment, our biology, or the path of evolution itself? These questions remain unanswered, leaving us, once again, with one more cosmic mystery to ponder, as we stare into the heavens, guided by a moon whose origins are still not fully understood. The discovery of a secret cemetery. Deep beneath the dense canopy of Poland's ancient forests lies a secret, hidden for centuries, one that has only recently come to light. At a carefully guarded excavation site, an archaeological team uncovered an ancient cemetery filled with haunting stories from the region's turbulent past. What greeted the researchers were mass graves and unusual ceramic urns containing the ashes of Germanic warriors who lived over 2,000 years ago, dating back to the 1st century BC. The solemn, chilly atmosphere of the forest seemed to deepen the mystery surrounding this burial ground. These urns were far more than simple containers. They were part of a rare funerary ritual, unlike any other burial practices known from ancient cultures in the area. So unique was this discovery that the archaeological team enlisted a veterinarian to X-ray the urns, hoping to learn exactly what lay inside. The results confirmed that most of the ashes belonged to Germanic warriors who had fought in brutal battles along what is now the border between Poland and Germany. But the secrets of this Polish forest did not end there. As the excavation expanded, archaeologists uncovered a series of headless skeletons buried just beneath the cold, muddy earth. These remains were identified as Nazi prisoners, buried in mass graves during the chaos of the 20th century. Rumors swirled about the origins of these grim burials. Some suggested they were the result of Soviet Red Army reprisals, while others believed the men had died during forced labor at a nearby explosives factory. The absence of skulls from many skeletons sparked intense debate. Some speculated that treasure hunters had looted the graves, stealing skulls in hopes of finding valuables or for darker, personal reasons. Others proposed even more disturbing theories, suggesting that savage rituals or inhumane acts had taken place in this forest during the war. There were also concerns that construction activities, carried out decades ago, had inadvertently destroyed ancient graves, erasing vital parts of the skeletal remains. To this day, archaeologists continue to study and protect this site from looters. Yet even what has already been uncovered serves as a powerful reminder of the tragedies and mysteries still buried beneath Europe's frozen soil. Under the shadow of Poland's forests, stories of war, loss, and strange rituals linger, waiting to be fully understood.